I was thinking of the question because I wanted to sing, and of course, something appeared on the screen, an ad with like a masterclass ad practically talking about what fiction is. I don't think fictions are lies, because like unfortunately fiction, yes, it's a subjective truth for the person writing the fiction or for the person living that fiction. Just because you don't see it, it doesn't mean it's not real in the mind of the person watching it. But I do think fiction is dangerous when you want to make it your reality. I think fiction is an... let me think. Fiction is an immaterial form of your subconscious thinking based on the conscious and on the reality that you experience. The difference between fictions and other genres is that it has fantastical elements in it. It has fantastical elements in it, bringing to life, animating, giving powers, and all of these things. Because humans have a yearning for something supernatural in a good way, like in a cute, good way. But it mainly stems from the fact that people want power also. People want to escape their reality. Fiction is literally making the impossible possible through the power of writing. In a sense, I think it's an imitation of... it's like people want to imitate God in this matter, because when you write, let's be honest, when you write, you are the one writing the story. But at the same time, that's why when you write, it's important to have God in the process, because I don't feel like I'm writing the story from myself, but rather from a greater source, which in this case is God, and I'm just acting as a tool to put it in actual words. But again, coming back to what fiction is what people want to... Fiction is the initiator of future outcomes when it comes to sci-fi, and at the same time, fiction, when it comes to magical things, is the embodiment of people's will wanting to be free of what's holding them back. That's why we have things like flying, magical things, making plants grow, or having animals talk to us, is, in a sense, putting aside limitations that we have as humans. Is it good? Is it bad? I think it's a good exercise of consciousness. At the same time, if it takes too much of your being and you're not anchored in reality anymore, it can become dangerous, because it may lead to your physical and mental death when you're just trying to save that. So yeah, I don't really have a good answer. I was also thinking that question was good from Suzume and Souta. Why did Souta ended up being, like, his soul being in the chair that represented Suzume's mother, because she made it. But I think overall that chair was, like Jono and Alan said, that was her closure. She was not giving closure. All the places that were abandoned and Suzume gave, they never really had closure. Nobody demolished the places, and those places kept accumulating quote-unquote bad emotions from people that kept leaving. Like, for example, the park didn't have any closure. It died, quote-unquote died, like metaphorically, because nobody was visiting anymore. But it didn't disappear. So because it didn't have a physical closure, something palpable, it was still lingering, letting it become a source of grief and pain and hate. And this is how it usually happens in our life if we do not find that closure. That's why we have ceremonies of beginning and endings, a ceremony for wedding and a ceremony for death, a ceremony for birth and a ceremony for, commemorating birth. Because we need something palpable. Things happened. We just like to recognize that they happened. As for why Souta did inhabit the chair that represented Suzume's mother, is because Shota's whole profession was to bring closure. He was a teacher, but taking this fantastical side of him, he was the one closing the doors of these calamities as passed down through generations. He was actually bringing closure to those places. So, because he's used with closing doors, but Suzume was incapable of finding her own door because she blacked it out. She tried to forget the pain and the grief, but she still had this object from her mother. Because she couldn't find her door of closure, Souta came in as, and yes, was Souta was put there by grief. I'm trying to look at a husband-wife situation. Let's say the wife has a grief that's not really resolved. What the husband would do if he loves her, he would remember that grief that she feels. Let's say it's a fear of communication because of traumatic events in the past. That grief, that trauma would be crawling around the wife's mind. And every time the husband would do something, she would be jumped, let's say, because of that trauma, even though the husband doesn't mean it in that sense, okay? The same way, Souta, because the small cat, which represents grief and hate and the inability for closure, put Souta in the chair, in the thing that reminded Suzume of her trauma, because that's how, let's say, people in a relationship may feel like. That's how this wife in this example would feel like when the husband is trying to communicate something, and because of trauma she sees it through a different lens. So grief puts the person that we love, grief, hate, trauma puts the person that we love in and objectifies them into the thing that keeps us remembering the trauma. Oh, I see it. Okay. In the object of our trauma. Okay. The fact that Souta was losing his soul in the chair, practically freezing to some degree, was based on the fact that if we keep seeing that person as, if the wife keeps seeing that her husband as the place of trauma, the place that reminds her of trauma, she keeps objectifying him to the point where he's not a person anymore, but he becomes one with the object of trauma, even though he's not on fault for it. At the same time, Souta is there to remind Suzume she needs to search for this, and it's Suzume's choice to go and search. The whole adventure or search that Suzume goes through is because of Souta, because he's a chair, because she wants to find a way to stop making him a chair, to get his soul back to his body and have this like happy outcome. That's why she goes on this adventure and goes deeper and deeper into her emotion, to her memories, and she sees, as she helps Shota help other places find closure, that the idea of closure begins to resonate with her in a sense. So he is the one that she objectified because of her grief into being this object of her trauma, because he was trying to help her find a way out of the trauma, and she makes the decision to go with this adventure to find the main problem. So I think it's just like a whole circle of like fighting trauma and finding closure. And to continue, yes, it does, because she sees she can lose Shota, she goes and does the work. Because his soul disappeared from the chair, she goes, does the work, and finds her younger self, and finds Shota and gets him out. And she does end up, because for this she needs to go back to her actual physical house and like go through her diary and realize the pain that she was going through and heal from that. When she speaks with her younger self, she heals from that, and she comes back with Shota being a human. With her closing the door, she looks more mature because she grew up. So yes, that's a good one. Thank you, Lu.